Hi there, welcome to another video, and this talk is really about transcending, because in spiritual awakening, when you do have that spiritual awakening, this is what you're learning about. You're learning about, well, from my experience, and I guess the others as well that have had these experiences, this is why you're healing, because you're transcending your problems into positive. And how you're doing it is you start to become aware of things. You start to become aware of the nature of reality. You start to become aware of duality. You start to become aware that the dark complements the light because the two is one. And you realize that you had to go through the negative to come to the good, the light. And that God isn't like how religions paint God to be. God doesn't care what you've done, because what you've done in the past was what you were meant to go through, and you learn from it, right? Now, and in this, because we get programmed in life of, this is wrong, that's right, and we don't know what's what. And in the spiritual awakening, it's clear to you that God is loving you unconditionally no matter what. And as you're awakening, you become this kind of love. You become aligned with that love. And that's why you get evil people in the world, people that abuse children, is because they're programmed to doing it. It's not us that are really sick, it's that society has been programmed to believe it's sick. And therefore you have a sick society of people doing evil things, because it's all to do with perceptual mind control, perceptual programming. Divide the perceptions and put them against each other. And what's happening on the planet is people are and have been having random unexpected spiritual awakenings. I had one, and other people in all different countries have been having these. The people that have signed up for this, and their job is to simply be an example. Now, not everyone's going to have a spiritual awakening on the planet, because not everyone's ready for that yet. Not everyone is ready to awaken the third eye and to perceive reality as it is, because it would freak everyone out if that was the case. You've got to be ready. But back to my own awakening, this awakening has all been about, inner healing, acceptance, because before this awakening, I was basically programmed to be how my school taught me to be, my parents, everything I've seen and experienced. And in the awakening, it was showing me that you're none of these things, Sean. That you're not your labels, you're not your skin color, you're not even your parents' blood. Because all those things and more are just experiences for a short life experience. What we are is actually everything else that exists. The self, the real self, is just infinite love, like a pure consciousness of just absolute euphoria and love, an unconditional love. And this is because in spiritual awakening you're becoming this love, you're healing because of this power that's within everyone. And you start to accept and you start to forgive yourself. And then you become more open, and it's in openness that is how we connect with our divine self. And this is how you heal your body. It's all about becoming open and having faith. And then you change your energy field in your body because you're accepting yourself more. You're forgiving yourself for your flaws, your mistakes. Because everyone's mistakes or imperfections is perfect to someone else in the world. Right? So embrace your mistakes, your imperfections. Because think about it anyway. Who has the audacity within nearly 8 billion people to tell you that you're wrong, or that you're a mistake, or you're bad? This is delusional behavior. You know, we are basically in the middle of infinity. You know, how we don't know anything. Everything that people come away with, what they say is they're repeating made up names and labels of things, believing it to be real. You know, basically they're saying, I am my label, I am my experience, and this is what creates racism. This is what creates things like that. Because they think they are their body, you see. But the body just belongs to this planet. You're absolute infinity. You're the body, but you're also the infinity of everything else. Which is just nothingness. Everything has to come from nothing. There's no beginning and end. That's another thing I started to perceive in this spiritual awakening. And it's a spiritual awakening process you're going through. And for me, it was a lot of inner healing, because I had a lot of problem before through everything that I experienced up to that awakening, the age of 24. And then so I started to do a lot of healing. You know, I didn't know what a spiritual awakening was. It was years later that I found out it was called a spiritual awakening. I knew it was a spiritual experience, and you know, I'm the only one in my family that has had it, and I know why. The whole point is so that I go through this and almost like plant a seed in people, not just my family, but people on the internet, anyone that is meant to get affected from my awakening. Right? And I awakened because I remember I sat down one day, and it was like the authentic side within me, power within me, had enough, and it started to come through. And then I started to go through this awakening unexpectedly. You know, and it was showing me a different perspective. It was showing me to stop beating myself up, stop thinking badly of yourself, and start to accept yourself. Right? You look at most people, they're always, they have their perceptions, which is right and wrong, good and bad, and they impose that onto everyone else. But in awakening, you realize, and you take all these outward, like, information that we get away from us, and there's actually no self. There's not even a perception of self then. Right? And you got to realize anything after comes after nothing is just made up by somebody. So it's all illusory nonsense that you realize in that spiritual awakening process. You're perceiving more and more how you're just awareness with no form. You know, nothing is physical. Science is proven that everything is just energy, but you go back and back and back. There is no time. There's not even a beginning or end. And understanding that leads you to the understanding that there is no right and wrong. everything's made up. And then this is very healing. This is how I got over, because one of my hang-ups was thinking that I'm always making a mistake. I'm always doing something wrong. And then when I started to go through this, I started to perceive how I started to forgive myself. Started to be like, forgiving, because I understand that, I had to go through the negative to understand and to grow. And with that comes real acceptance of who you are, and then you love yourself. I mean, I really do love myself now. This is why I want to do a video. I want to share this experience so other people can help other people going through something similar, or a way to go through something similar. This is also a reason why, I observe things now. When you awaken, you become like an observer instead of a reactor. And, I don't really get triggered now. Whenever I say something, it's with the purest intentions. And I don't get bothered, really. And that's the reason I don't get bothered by things is because that's what happens when we only get bothered by things when we have deep insecurities and worries about who we are. Once you realize you don't actually exist, all that worries about who you think you are goes away. You're just awareness within nothingness that doesn't exist, that is dreaming. Right? This is in Buddhism also. That's what they speak about. But this didn't come from Buddhism. This came from an unexpected awakening. And everything is just a dream. You don't exist. You're not real. It's just, but in the nothing, I think when you've got peak nothingness, then you have like a peak dream or something. I think everything is just awareness, pure consciousness. And love is the orchestrator behind what you're experiencing. Love is God. And like I'm saying, all these philosophies that I gained from the awakening was how I was healing. I was starting to tap, heal through that, and forgiving myself was a big part of it. And then more you forgive yourself, the less you get bothered by, you don't care what people think of you. I don't care now if people, whatever they think. They can think what they like. They can think I'm mad. They can think I'm a druggie. They can think whatever they want. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Think what you like. But I'm still going to love and love myself anyway. Right? We are not our past experiences, but we are this present moment going forward. Right? The presence is the only thing that's really real, And that's where the love is, in this presence. But yeah, that's how forgiveness comes from self-forgiveness. It comes from self-forgiveness, and then you start to give more love externally because of the love that you're giving to yourself. And this is how it was for me. Before this awakening, like I said, I had a lot of problems that was from everything I experienced as a child growing up and into a young adult. And so I've had the negative side of life, and I've also had this awakening. So I've lived in both sides, you see. And I'm just passing this on. Don't buy into don't let any idiot try to define you. with their labels that they heard from somewhere else. Understand that you are whatever you decide that you are. You are a sovereign co-creator being on this planet. And everything is within you. And I'm just going to leave it there. For more updates, visit my website for the latest updates. It's www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching and listening.